My guest today is the president of one of the largest and most experienced legal marketing firms in the country.
Running your law firm with numbers, real live accurate numbers, that's the whole key. If I was starting a law firm today, that's what I would do.
The amount of law firms that don't have that process in place is kind of insane.
There's two types of people in this world, Nick. Regular people and attorneys.
Everything except the law will begin after a brief word from Answering Legal. Visit answeringlegal.com to learn more about our virtual receptionist team.
Answering Legal is staffed with trained professionals who know how to handle legal calls in a professional, courteous manner. And that provides a positive experience to callers. The receptionists are trained and understand the type of calls that our firm is getting. They can answer frequently asked questions. They can take messages. They can schedule appointments. And that allows us to, one, promptly respond to our client, and two, we have a record. That is probably the most crucial part of this business.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Answering Legal's Everything Except the Law podcast. I am your host, Nick Werker. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the podcast where we share expert advice on all the parts of running a law firm that attorneys weren't exactly trained for back in law school. Now, my guest today is the president of one of the largest and most experienced legal marketing firms in the country. His company has worked with over 20,000 attorneys in the last 2 decades alone, stretching across every state and practice area. Over the past few years, he's become one of our good friends, dishing out some great tips at our last 2 summer reboot camps. We're thrilled to have him on the podcast for the first time. Philip Fairley joins me now. Welcome, Philip. It's so nice to have you here.
Nick, I was super excited because every time that we've had conversations or interactions, it's always about really interesting things and strategies for law firm owners that they should be aware of, because I love how you position this. It's topics that you didn't learn in law school. You learned how to be a technician, not an entrepreneur. So there's a big difference. So that's the type of things that I'm excited about. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you here. So before we get into everything, for anyone who lives under a rock and may not have heard of you or the Rainmaker Institute, can you sort of give us a little bit of background on how you got into your current role and a little bit more about the Rainmaker Institute?
Yeah, well, we started back in 1999. That's a long time ago, especially in the legal industry, which I call it counting dog years. Honestly, Nick, we count in dog years. And everybody's like, yeah, I probably agree with that as well.
Yep.
But what we started out with was teaching and consulting with business owners, law firm owners, only law firms, about things they need to know, like Business 101. And since that time, we've just evolved to answer the needs of what our clients and law firm owners needed. So it started out with, how do I run my firm like a business? Then how do I consistently attract quality leads? And then when we had both of those nailed down, Nick, we were like, yeah, we're good. We're done. We're okay. We're good. Right? We got nothing else. We teach them about business owner, attract quality leads. Then they couldn't convert those leads into clients. And they would come back, all these leads are garbage, right? And we would pull the covers back. You're like, what do you mean? You called them back once, 3 days after they left a voicemail at your office. That's not a lead anymore. And so from there, we then developed what I think our reputation is really known for, is our automated intake and sales platform. So taking those leads and then turning them into clients at 40, 60, 80% rate, because marketing is so expensive in our space. So we started out with teaching them how to be a business owner. And then we added in how to generate consistent quality leads. And then we understood that not only did they not know how to run a business, they never had a sales class or conversion class in law school, because sell is a 4-letter word to attorneys. Like your professors probably said, if you're ethical, they'll come. Right? There's too many options for that anymore. And so really that's the biggest transformation in all of our steps of evolution. It's teaching owners how to take their leads and turn them into clients at a higher rate. Then we found something that happens when you do that as well. When you start using an intake process and an intake system that automates nurturing and follow up, you can then easily assign data and tracking numbers to all of those leads. So then that's when I developed about 6 years ago now, a tool we call Rainalytics. It's our data tool that we plug into law firms. So when you use an intake system, you get to track what your marketing is producing, what's your appointment set rate for your intake staff, what's the close rate for your attorneys or non-attorney salespeople. How should you be conducting your consult? Should they be paid? Should they be free? Should they be on video? Should they be all of these things just magically, all these numbers just magically appear when you start using an intake system and then nurturing them. But the results are our Rainalytics tool, which then we meet with our clients on a monthly basis and interpret all their numbers for them, tell them what to do more of and what to do less of. That's the biggest game changer. Running your law firm with numbers, real live accurate numbers, that takes any attorney from a practice to a business, and then from a business into what we call a lifestyle law firm. And that's the whole key to running your firm and growing it. We found out you have to generate leads. You got to run it like a business. You have to have a leadership team, but you have to know your numbers, and you have to nurture and take care of every lead. And from there, so that's pretty much the suite of what we do here at Rainmaker, all the way, the entire process of client acquisition from lead gen to lead conversion, and then actually teach them how to run their firm like a business.
I love the term Rainalytics for the analytics platform. So before we get into some helpful tips, I want to try and break up some of the bad habits that are out there. So I want to ask you, what are the biggest law firm marketing mistakes that you're seeing from the law firm community right now?
I'm thinking that there's two. Thinking that marketing is only lead generation, and then overlooking the people that take care of those leads that contact your firm. So let me boil that down real quick. So there's two parts of marketing. Most attorneys, they come to us and I need more leads, right? And now legitimately, there's a lot listening that probably need more leads. But then my question is, what are you doing with those leads that you already have? Because if you're closing at 14% and you never call anybody back, and if they leave your firm or don't send an appointment, that's your last conversation with them, you are leaving so much revenue on the table. Because most law firms think that marketing stops when the phone rings for their intake department. No, it changes from lead generation to lead conversion. Those are both marketing. Understand that. The second most overlooked aspect of any law firm, still to this day, and we've been legitimately preaching this, Nick. My dad was a Baptist minister, so I give sermons all the time about why are law firms so enthralled and engaged with lead generation, they forget about lead conversion or lead nurturing, and then they put somebody that's an afterthought at the front of their office, like a receptionist or somebody that's grumpy that nobody wants to deal with, or the newest person. We'll just put them in front and they can answer the phone, i.e. intake. And intake is in charge of your firm's cash flow. They determine whether somebody sets an appointment with you or goes down the road to one of those four others that they pulled up on their Google Maps, attorney near me. Your intake determines your cash flow. If you've got cash flow problems, if I was talking to people live, Nick, I'd be like, raise your hand. If you're driving, if you're laying in bed, just raise your hand if you have cash flow problems in your law firm. Fix your intake. You'll fix your cash flow problems.
So I want to expand on that. What do you see law firms doing wrong on the intake side of things that is limiting their marketing success?
Not leveraging technology to automate those leads. Because let's say you're in a typical law firm, criminal defense or family, whatever, personal injury, whatever it may be, you're getting 100 leads a month. Some of you will be like, oh my gosh, I give my right arm for that. Others like, I get that every week. It's okay. The numbers still play out the same. So if you get these leads and you're not nurturing them and you're not taking care of them and you're not following up with them, if you think that somebody is always ready to buy or make a decision at that one point in time when they talk to your firm, then you're foolish. When's the last time you bought a vacation and looked at just one Airbnb? Let alone choose somebody that's going to determine your future or get you out of the biggest potential jam in your life or deal with one of the biggest issues, what you may think is the worst issue in your life. Attorneys forget what it's like to be on the other side. right, of the coin, and how desperate, and how, like, we've got a client, a King law firm. They're in North Carolina and South Carolina. They use our intake system and our analytics tool. They started with 6 attorneys. Now they have 67 and 19 offices all across North and South Carolina. They answer the phone on the first ring. Why? Because they do family and criminal defense. They do some other practice areas, but that's their main goal in these small little towns throughout North and South Carolina. Why? Because they understand what it's like. They tell their intake staff, that person may have dialed that number like 5 times and hung up and never dialed it. They may have actually let it ring and hang up, because then that's their decision that they're making, to their family decision or their criminal, whatever it may be. That's perception. They may perceive this as the worst phone call they've ever had to make in their life. So you better show empathy out of the gate, answer it on the first ring. And then when they're not ready to make a decision, then you nurture them with case studies, with stories, what it's like to be a client of ours day number 1. You'll get 10, 15, 20% of those that didn't make a decision to then turn around and make a decision. So if you've got 100 leads a month and you're signing up, on average, you're going to sign up probably 10, 12, 13 clients. That's it. That's an average law firm for those new lead numbers. But then if you can learn how to set more appointments without, in an effective manner, or do some of these other intake strategies, you can easily turn that 13 out of 100 into 20 out of 100. Now your marketing costs have gone down drastically. Cost per client is cut in half, right? Your revenue has increased. You need to hire more associates, more staff. That's why it's a game changer. And that's the mistake that I think a lot of attorneys, law firms are making, because when they have a cash flow issue, Nick, they're like, okay, well, we're just going to take those clients that I normally would have rejected last week, and I'm just going to put in another 90-hour week because I need to fix my cash flow. They get stuck in the weeds of business and working the job, and they're in court, and then they wonder why they're on their 3rd marriage. Their life sucks. They make $300,000 a year, but they have no time to spend it, and they hate themselves. That's pretty drastic, but I see all too many law firm owners that, cash flow problem, I'm just going to work more and take lesser clients that I normally wouldn't. Just anybody who walks through the door, I'll take them.
How do law firms go about improving this new client intake process? And what are some of the strategies that you recommend?
Yeah, well, for this, really good question. What you have to do is you have to map out what your process is, because every firm's a little different, right? If you're personal injury and contingency, you're going to try to hire them on intake, right? If you're criminal defense, you want them to show up to your office. If they're a felony, or you can do something over the phone if they're, a lesser charge or less, potential size or complication. But you have to map out and secret shop your entire process. We even suggest secret shopping your intake. We do that for a lot of clients frequently. But okay, what does that process look like? Then what's the next step? You whiteboard this all out. Because if you don't think you have a sales funnel or a customer journey, you do. You just kind of assume that it just happens. You have to be deliberate about it. Okay, on intake, what's the 3 options? Maybe 4. Disqualified, refer out, set an appointment, or say no thank you, or hire them, right? 3 or 4 options on intake, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your options. So for each one of those options, then you create another line out. Okay, if I refer them out, then what? Right? And if they don't set an appointment, then what? And if they do set an appointment, then what? Okay, so if they set an appointment, then I have to schedule it with an attorney to meet with. Do we have more than one attorney that takes these? And if so, is there one that closes better of this case? Maybe it's child abuse, or maybe it's a DUI, or maybe it's a state, or whatever it may be, right? And so then when they meet with the attorney, okay, consultation, and then at the consultation, okay, what can happen? Well, they can be disqualified. I can still refer them out. They can hire me right at the consult, or they can go home and they need to think about it, right? That's what I call it. They go home and think about it. So I'm like, what are you going to think about, right? How much worse is it going to be tomorrow if you don't make a decision? But anyway, then they have to go home and think about it. Or what they may call is no hire, or what they may call is a crappy lead, because they never follow up with them, because they didn't realize that person's not ready to make a decision right now. So then you have all of these stages that every possible lead can map it out. When a lead comes into your office, how do they move through to a client, and what's all the stages and options? Then you build that into your intake system or your software, and you get everybody involved that deals with potential clients. Here's our process. Here's what we do. So when they come here and they don't hire, what do we do after the consultation? Well, that information now needs to be relayed, the reason they didn't hire, to the intake person. Because I'm a big proponent in the intake is sales. They need to be doing the follow-up after the consult because the attorney needs to go to work. They need to run the office or meet with the next potential client. Should be on the intake to do the hiring later. So now if you're in this situation, they went through your marketing, set the appointment, showed up at the consult, still didn't hire you. So what's the options? Well, 2 days later, the intake person calls, hey, I know you were waiting to the 15th to get paid, or whatever the reason may be. And then they need to sell them on the value of the firm and overcome that objection, right? And then they need to drip market them 8 to 12 emails over, if you're an estate planner, your sales cycle may be 3 months. So over 3 months, you're in DUI, you get a week. So you're talking to them every day because they got to get in front of a judge, get their law, whatever it may be, whatever your sales cycle forever practice area, right? That's what your nurturing kind of lays out to. So if you're in that criminal defense situation, the next day you're going to get a call from the intake person reiterating the reason why they're the best firm. Then they're going to get an email, what it's like to work with us day number 1. And there's a video of the attorney on there. Then the next day they get a case study. Hey, we were working with this lady that came in and she was a business owner and drove for a living. And she got this situation and this is what we were able to help her out with. I know your situation may be different, but this is what we do for our clients. We're ready to help you. Let's get to work, right? And then the intake calls again on the 3rd day. And then there's 2 text messages. So when you map out your entire intake process, then you as the owner need to map out, okay, of all these touch points, what type of communication or nurturing do I need to put to move them to the next stage that I've already mapped out? Then the third evolution of that is map out everything that can happen. Then 2, what are my staff and what are we going to do for nurturing to keep them in the sales funnel, moving them down to a client? And then the third one is then try to attach numbers to each stage, like your appointment set. What's your appointment set rate? Like you need the stage for people to actually show up for video, phone, or in the office. That's your show stage. What's my show rate for my firm? Is it above 95%? If it's not, well, I got to fix this. Well, we need to text. We need to call the day before. Now we've fixed our show rate, right? Our appointment set rate sucks. We're only setting 65% of our qualified leads. Well, I need to go and teach our intake people how to be more empathetic, overcome what objections you're getting that you can't overcome. What are people saying? Let's meet. So when you map it out, and then the second stage is create nurturing at each stage, text, email, phone calls, and then assign those to your staff members or automate for the tech to do it. Then the third part is put a number to it. Because then when you put a number to it, then you start to make smarter decisions. Like my intake person sucks at converting qualified clients. So they're not the right person, or I need to train them. This attorney can't close a door, let alone a potential client. Why? And it's Nick, when we do that, when we consult with clients, we show them the number. When the managing attorney's name's on the door and they're closing at 14%, those are tough conversations to have.
Yep.
They're business conversations to have. But if I was starting a law firm today, that's what I would do.
That makes me feel really good inside, because I'll tell you that the amount of law firms that I speak to that don't have that process in place is kind of insane. And I'll take a step back. So I would say about half of the attorneys that we do business with, the first time we speak with them and they're interested, it sounds good. You guys are going to answer my phone only when I can't. You're going to do the legal intake. And a lot of them will ask, do you have your own set of legal intake questions? And I'm telling you, it's about half say, no, I don't. What do you suggest? And what we're able to do is talk about things like what you're saying is consult on those intake questions. And for us, it's a little bit different because we don't get really involved in like the actual business planning of each firm. What we do is make sure that person, when that phone call comes in, doesn't immediately skip you when they hit your voicemail.
Yeah.
But we're able to do a preliminary intake that your team can follow up with and ultimately close that lead and get the conversion like what we're talking about. But you mentioned something very interesting, and I really want to expand on this. You mentioned that you can send a follow-up to the customer and it's a video of the attorney. And I know that video marketing is something that you're pretty excited about these days.
Yeah.
What type of videos do you encourage law firms to create? I like the idea of the tutorial. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I got criminal defense attorneys that will send a tutorial to their client about how to walk into the courthouse, what room to go to, right? Because they don't know. No, some of them do, because they've been there a couple times.
Okay.
But right, I'm so excited about video that we've stopped doing a lot of our blogging and a lot of our other content because and so excited about video that we went and bought a company in California 2 years ago that just does video. That's why how excited and how much our clients are generating revenue with video. So let me tell you, it's not just popping them on YouTube. Your biggest and best and most valuable, when I say valuable, Nick, I mean generate dollars, valuable videos will be your nurturing videos. Now we tell clients you need your core videos. Those are ones for each practice area. They need to go on your website. Then you need to say about us, that's your firm brand video, right? Doesn't need to be with flyovers and drones and highly produced like a Law and Order movie trailer. Like a lot of law firms miss the beat. That's not what people want to watch. They just don't. They want amateur with professional editing. Like you're sitting beside them. Anything else? That's why a big vendor in our space doesn't push out videos anymore because they were all movie trailers. Why? Our analytics tool told us nobody watched them. But they made the attorney really nice, just like buying the magazine cover back in the day, right? And sell it to attorneys. So the type of videos that are most valuable to use is your nurturing videos. And I can talk about the other types real quick, but you're nurturing. Here's the first one that I would create. Everybody that takes consultations with potential clients, they need a profile video. And it's not with you on the courthouse steps with your arms folded with the scales of justice in the right-hand corner, like your website may or may not look like. It's you in your backyard. If you can bring a dog, that's even better, like a big shaggy dog, or your kids are playing ball in the background. You're not using this to leverage it. What you're doing is humanizing yourself, because there's two types of people in this world, Nick: regular people and attorneys. That's how I divide it. I'm sorry. They think you're in charge of $1,000 a minute and in it for the money and don't care about them. They don't want to deal with you. They don't want to buy your services. Think about selling services that nobody wants to buy that they're forced with. So you have to sell them and attract and talk with them and humanize yourself differently. So your profile video is about why you became an attorney, what your passions in life. And then, hey, make sure you bring all your questions. I'm real excited to meet with you. And if you have it in your house or nice background that's human, bonus points. The next type of nurturing is the follow-up. You guys are busy. So if you're looking at nurturing videos, there's two biggest opportunities. People that call your firm that don't set an appointment. The people that call your firm, the most expensive leads, they responded to your marketing, went through intake, showed up for the consultation, and didn't hire you. So I say the no appointment sets and the no hires. The no hires doesn't mean they won't ever hire. They just didn't hire at the consultation. Those are your two biggest spots. So the first video, I would say in a sequence, I'd have 8 to 12 emails pre-canned and 4 to 5 text messages pre-canned and all ready to go on a pre-canned schedule. So that way, when they get the no appointment set tag in your software, this stuff just happens over schedule, right? So your first one, which I love, is what it's like to be a client of ours day number one. You know how you can set the table for your firm with just that topic? And do you know what the open rate? It's about 80, 90% open rates on that with a subject client, because they have no idea what it's like to be a client. If you're bankruptcy, you're like, fresh start, criminal defense, a whole team, family law, protect your kids, your future, your business, whatever, right? You can use a lot of platitudes in that video, but you do it and your competitors aren't doing it, right? Then the other type of videos in that nurturing stream, case studies. Now, you don't want to give names and information away, but I was working with a client last week or previously that was in this situation, and they had their grandson, they were watching them before school. The grandmother was, because the mom had to work, 2 grandkids, and the rambunctious 8-year-old boy was out in the driveway riding his bike and he got hit by a garbage truck. And this is actually a real story, Nick, and that kid ended up losing his arm. But here's what we did for them, right? Talk about the power of that story. We were able to save this guy's business life, and so he can still see his children, or protect her from the narcissistic spouse. You've got great stories. Tell 2 or 3 of them. Jerry Springer had a whole career on this, right? You tell stories, people listen and respond to. They hire lawyers, they listen to stories, they don't hire law firms, right? So then another topic with that, and that goes for no appointment set or no hire. It's like, here's what happens if you wait. Like, we were working with somebody that waited, and they filled a lot of their options, right? And here's why we're different. And then go tell a bunch of stories about people you worked with. So the other way to use video is taking those videos, also putting them on YouTube, because other people search, that's number 2 search engine, but then chopping them up in omni-channel distribution. So what I say, then you chop them up and you translate it and turn your video into a blog post. You chop them up into shorts for TikTok, for Reels, for Instagram, for Facebook, right? You put more of these in your nurturing follow-up. You take your videos, and that's your monthly newsletter, and you just write 2 sentences at the top, and then you fire off the last 3 videos you made. And then, Nick, what we've also found with certain practice areas, you take those videos and then you retarget your potential clients. Everybody who's been on your website, who's filled out a form, who's called your firm. So you're emailing them, you're texting them, and your intake's calling them, but they're still on social media and they're still on Google in between. And then for pennies on the dollar, like, we retarget law firm owners, full disclosure, all across the country. We spend about $2,000 a month doing retargeting. That's it. Some of you we're running clients pay-per-click of $50,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $8,000 a month for Google pay-per-click. You'll make more money with your videos if you retarget everybody who's been on your website, even if they haven't called your firm, and you're paying pennies and you follow them around like that Amazon did a long time ago. Everybody was like, I can't believe that pair of shoes I was looking at. Now I see it on my email. I see it in Google. I see it on Facebook. It's retargeting. It's not creepy because you're not selling a pair of shoes. You're going to change their life, get them out of the worst situation ever perceived in their mind. And my question is, are you a good attorney? And they usually answer me, Nick, yeah, I'm a good attorney. I'm like, are you a great attorney? They're like, oh, hell yeah, I'm a great attorney. And then, Nick, they just fell into my trap. I'm like, isn't it then your moral, ethical, and legal responsibility to help as many people as you want? So why are you following up with these people and trying to sell them on your services? Because you're going to help them better than the cheaper guy down the road with bad shoes that can't keep his clients and is taking any client that walks through the door. So you have to sell your services, and you nurture them, and you follow up, and you take these videos, and what we do is a 4-video set. They're like 20 seconds each, and they're sliced up from other videos we've already created. And then we rotate them every 2, 3, 4, 6 months. Like, so if somebody comes to our website, they're going to get retargeted with a set of 3 to 5 different videos. They'll see different ones every time. It works, especially because they're calling other law firms. They really are. And these other law firms aren't nurturing their leads. You're staying on their radar by nurturing them with your intake, by following them around on digital properties. And then when you stay on their radar, more people will turn into clients. It's that simple.
So do you have any tips for law firms on actually like producing these videos?
Mm-hmm.
What's the process of recording them? What will they need for the recording process? How can they do it?
Well, we've got a whole series that if somebody reaches out and says, they mention, and I'll give my email address, Philip at therainmakerinstitute.com. And if you mention that you heard me on everything except the law, or you're a friend of Nick, I'll send you this video training. But I'll give you a recap of this real quick, because it's not rocket science, but boy, is it damn clever. It took us about 4,000, 5,000 videos to figure this out. So, it was pretty tried and true at this point, and we're up to about 10,000. But we have a meeting with our clients, or some clients do it on their own, and they script their ideas, 10 or 15 minutes to take a script. And what we have done, Nick, is we use some templates, some outlines. Think of Mad Libs. Remember that game as a kid?
Love Mad
Maybe, I
Libs.
don't know, or maybe aging myself here, but in the child of the 80s, we had Mad Libs, right? And you'd be like, give me a noun, give me an ad. Like, no, so give me a thought and then give me 3 bullet points or 2 bullet points and then a story. And then just use this template. It'll take you 5 minutes to fill out your entire script. So you script on a different day than you shoot. And you have these templates. And then you put your ideas and you turn it into a script. So then on the next day, 2 or 3 days later, you record the videos. And what you do is you want to record these in horizontal with your cell phone is your camera. Don't get crazy. You don't need to. Then you get a $30 mic that you plug into your phone. I don't like the lapel. I don't like the Bluetooth ones because if it clips a little bit, doesn't matter, right? So you do a vertical with your phone. You show yourself from the waist to a little bit above the head. So you can use your body language, big person, small body language, small person. It's the science of videos. And then you make them 5 to 8 minutes in length. That's it, right? 5 to 8 minutes. And then you have an editor put in a little bit of B-roll, a little bit of music, a little bit of tag with it, light editing. And then you put that video on YouTube because they love those 5 to 8 minute videos because then YouTube can play 2 ads. Actually, you just get seen more. It's shocking, right? But then you take that video and you slice it up into a bunch of vertical shorts because vertical, like shorts, like TikTok, Reels, Instagram, things like that, YouTube, they want vertical, not horizontal shoots. But when you shoot in horizontal, your editor can flip it and slice it out. So now you've got shorts. For every 5 to 8 minute YouTube video, you should have 2, 4, 6 short form reels, right? However you want to call them. Then we also put it through Google Translate, and now you've got a blog. So put a couple keywords in there. You got your video on your website, and then your blog post behind it. And now you've got your whole social media, and you get a social media schedule. On Tuesday, they get the full video. On Wednesday, we're actually going to post the blog. On Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, each day, we're going to post 2 reels. So people watching more towards the end of the week. And then Monday, we're going to do it all over and flip it again. And then our newsletter comes around, and then we're just going to grab our 2 to 3 videos we made this last month, put them in there, and that's our video newsletter with a little intro, what's coming on this fall or holiday or whatever it may be, right? So you omni-channel them. You push them everywhere, right? You use them for retargeting. You put them in your intake software to nurture your clients, your potential clients, and turn them in. So the equipment, a tripod, your cell phone, and a $30 mic, your recording or your shoot room, what I call it, don't make a room. Just make sure you know where you're going to record the video before you start, or else you'll be scrambling for an hour and you'll be like, I got to go now. I'm done. My time's out. So have character in the background. Have a sign with your logo. Don't do it in your conference room with all the textbooks on the bookshelf. Do it in front of your office. Do some different locations in a hall. Doesn't matter. Amateur with a little bit of a professional look. Character. Humanize yourself, but have a location. Then when you get ready to make the recording, here's the genius part of it. You record with, like I said, you're about 5 to 6 feet away because you just want your waist up, right? That's what you really want to frame the picture. Remember, in a horizontal manner. And then you've got your script either taped to your phone or your tripod or sitting in your lap or wherever it may be, right? So then you go to the recording and you hit record. You get your mic up. You've done do a little sound check, record for 5 seconds, and then play it because I've created great videos with 0 sound. They're like, I do it again. But then you record it and you record it in 10-minute chunks. Could you just say 5 to 8 minutes? Well, if you want to memorize everything and do it right all the way through, okay, but I can't even do that. And we've made thousands of videos. So you've got the recording, you hit the record button, and you do it in 10-minute chunks. And during that 10 minutes, you stand there with your smile and you look down at your script. Okay, here's my next line. And then you deliver your line. Oh, I don't like that. I'm going to do it again. Okay, do it again. Great. And then you look down at your script. Okay, what am I going to do next? Okay, and then you deliver that line. You don't hit stop on the record. You keep recording. But when it comes to 10 minutes, you stop it. Why? It takes too long to upload videos that are longer than 10 minutes. Total logistical trick that if you didn't go through 4,000 videos, you wouldn't know. So you put them in 10 minutes chunks. So then you're looking at your script and you're going to perform, and then you let your editor chop it all out and clean up all the stuff. That way you can do your videos in 1 to 2 takes, 10, 20 minutes to do a 5 to 8 minute video. because you're just looking down at your script and then you're repeating it. We go a step further for our clients, and we actually join in electronically, and then we direct them. We're like, hey, will you do that again? Can you step closer? Hey, whisper this one. Hey, bigger words. That wasn't clear. Like, so we're directing that while they're recording it. But you can do this on your own with your script. And then you have your editor slice out all of your outtakes or all of the mistakes, or all you're looking at the script, right? And then it makes it a smooth video process. So then you have the ability to take a script and turn it into, take an idea and turn it into a script quickly. And you do it on a different day. And then you can record videos 2 to 3. We got clients who record 5 in an hour because they've learned how to ride the bike, and they're just looking at the script and then they go for it. Right. And then they forget and they're like, okay, stop. I got to do that one again. Okay. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to do it again. And then they do it again. So then the editor clips it out, makes a smooth process.
I love that. If our attorney listeners have enjoyed listening to you today and want to connect further, how can they do so?
The best way is Philip at therainmakerinstitute.com. Also, our main number is 844-RAINMAKER. And also on the web, I would love, I always make the offer, and usually there's 3 or 4 people that take it up, Nick. When I have an interaction like this, a lot of times I'm speaking on a big stage or a big crowd full or whatever, and it's hard to do more one-on-ones. But for those attorneys that are passionate about being a business owner, man, you've got my ear. I would love to talk to you and strategize with you and give you like practical tips that you can leapfrog your challenge and start growing your firm. So reach out to me directly via email. I'd love that. We'll set up a time. I'll just give you a free consulting. I'll give you all my best stuff. I just love talking to people that want to be a better business owner.
I feel the same way. I always leave my my email address everywhere. And once in a while, I do get an email from somebody asking me like a logistical question about like law firm management or law firm marketing, and I point them in the right direction. And I always get really excited when I do. So
yeah. Well, because there's so many attorneys, and it's funny you said, hey, I can't believe that these people don't have their intake questions or things like. I thought these lessons would have dried up over the last 25 years, Nick. We're still teaching a lot of the same lessons, just with new ingredients in the recipes and new tech to leverage it and automate it. But these are tried and true lessons, and it's business 101. And if you want to grow your firm, I would love to talk to you and help, because attorneys aren't afraid of hard work.
no,
I just want to make you work smarter.
I love that. Well, Philip, I'd like to thank you for joining me on the show today. And thank you to all of our listeners. We hope you enjoyed this conversation, and we'll be back with another episode of Everything Except the Law soon. Be sure to check out previous episodes of our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Answering Legal YouTube channel. Wow. Links to everything covered in today's conversation can be found in the description of this episode. We hope to see you next time, everyone.